Ripa had survived many trends in her decades on television: juice cleanses, questionable workout fads, and fashion choices she hoped were permanently wiped from the internet. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared her for the bird theory. It arrived, as all viral trends now did, through a combination of her producers, her kids sending TikToks at ungodly hours, and the live studio audience whispering about it during commercial breaks. One morning, during makeup, her producer Jonathan leaned over conspiratorially as if revealing state secrets. "Kelly, you have to test Mark with the bird theory." She blinked. "Is that like the Bird Box challenge? Because I'm still trying to untraumatize myself from that." No, totally different. It's about relationships. You point out a bird. Literally. Any bird. And if your partner shows interest, like real engagement, they're supposedly your soulmate. Kelly stared at him in the mirror. "So you're telling me 28 years of marriage, 3 children, 15 moves, 2 soap operas, and a talk show built largely on oversharing can be replaced by a sparrow?" Jonathan nodded gravely. "It's science." Kelly rolled her eyes. "This feels like something created by a person who refuses to go to therapy." Still, as she walked out of the studio that day, slipping into her car, the theory tapped the edge of her mind like a persistent pigeon pecking at a window. She'd always known Mark was her person. She had felt it since that first audition on All My Children, when he introduced himself with the confidence of a man who knew exactly the effect he had on the world. But now the internet had decided relationships could be measured by bird enthusiasm. Fine. Let the birds decide. That evening, Mark was home before her. A rarity, standing at the kitchen counter wearing his reading glasses as he chopped peppers with the focus of a surgeon and the swagger of a man who knew he looked good doing it. Their dog Chewy sprawled at his feet like a fluffy witness to domestic bliss. Kelly studied him. This was a man who memorized her coffee order but forgot where he put his phone daily. A man who sent her texts like thinking of you randomly, but also once accidentally sent her a photo of a chicken he wanted to grill with no context. A man who could be deeply attentive and yet, somehow, oblivious to the fact that she'd changed the living room rug 6 months earlier. In other words, the bird theory's perfect test subject. "Hi babe," he said, glancing up. "You're staring at me like you're about to fire me from our marriage." "Not yet," she replied sweetly. "How was your day?" "Good. But better now." He winked, because that was his default response to everything, including weather. Okay, she thought. Showtime. The backyard was quiet except for the late afternoon hum of cicadas. Kelly led him outside under the pretense of needing fresh air, which was suspicious, because she considered fresh air a sometimes food. She waited. And waited. And then, salvation. A plump little robin landed on the railing of their deck, like it had been hired. Kelly straightened. "Oh, Mark. Look, a bird." She delivered the line with dramatic flair, the kind she usually reserved for acting out stories on live when she wanted Ryan to snort laugh. She pointed with such vigor that the bird looked mildly offended. Mark followed her finger. That's a robin." Then he went back to chopping peppers and sighed. Kelly blinked, mouth agape. "That's it? No curiosity? No wide-eyed wonder at the miracle of earthly creatures taking flight? No, wow babe. Look at nature. Not even a nice bird." Her heart sank. Oh my God, she thought. My marriage has been ruined by a viral trend. I've been undone by a robin. But before she could process the implications of failing a TikTok relationship test, Mark reappeared beside her with 2 glasses of wine. "You okay?" he asked, handing her a glass. "You look like you've seen a ghost. Or worse, a questionable fashion trend coming back." She hesitated. Should she confess? Would he laugh at her? Yes. Absolutely. Which was exactly why she had to tell him. "I was testing you," she said dramatically, "with the bird theory." "The what?" She explained. "The TikTok videos. The idea that noticing a bird meant emotional attentiveness, commitment, soulmate material." Mark listened with the same seriousness he gave her every time she spiraled about something internet-fueled. When she finished, he blinked slowly. "So you're telling me," he began, "that if I had said, 'cool bird,' then we'd be soulmates, but because I didn't, our entire relationship is invalidated?" She sipped her wine. "It sounds less crazy when the internet says it." Mark laughed, that deep, warm laugh that always started in his chest and wrapped around her like a hug. "Babe, I've seen you give birth. Twice in the same day. To our daughter and a kidney stone. I've slept on airport floors with you. I've helped you find your retainer in a hotel room trash can. And last week, I plucked a false eyelash off your cheek mid-conversation because it was falling off and I didn't want you to look like a villain on a telenovela. He leaned closer. And you think a bird is going to measure my devotion better than that? Kelly opened her mouth, then closed it. His logic was annoyingly impeccable. But you didn't look at the bird, she said weakly. He shrugged. I don't need to look at a bird to know I'm in love with you. Birds are everywhere, you aren't. She froze. Every muscle stilled. Every thought evaporated. There it was. The line. The moment. The swoon-inducing sentiment that made their kids cringe and their friends roll their eyes and their fans insist that their marriage belonged in a romantic comedy. You just said something profoundly romantic, she whispered. It's like you bypassed the bird and went straight for the screenplay. Mark grinned. So does that mean I passed or failed? She sighed dramatically, leaning her head on his shoulder. You failed the bird test, but you passed the husband test. Good, he said, kissing the top of her head. Because the only bird I care about is the rotisserie chicken I'm making for dinner. She giggled. The robin fluttered away in a burst of feathers, as if realizing it was no longer necessary. Maybe the bird theory worked for some people. Maybe it revealed something profound about attention and connection. But Kelly decided then and there that her marriage didn't need a viral test. It had survived Hollywood, parenthood, morning television, and countless burnt dinners.